Welcome to the Cripescast. This is the podcast where we talk to people for and or from the Midwest. We are powered by Everlight Solar, and here's this week's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to the Cripescast. This week my guest is comedian and podcast host Daniel Van Kirk. Daniel is from Rochelle, Illinois, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I just put an S at the end of Illinois just for fun, just to see who that would make mad. Charlie, that's not very nice of you. I know. Anyway, we'll get back to the point here. Daniel and I were hanging out in Chicago this past weekend. I was doing a bunch of shows at Zany's leading up to filming the special this week. So we had a lot of fun doing a lot of punch-up stuff in the green room. It was a good time. And we took a little moment out of our schedule of doing shows and notes and whatnot to have a conversation for the Cripescast. And luckily, we had a beautiful fireplace in one of the hotel rooms. And so we had a nice fireside chat. Daniel, if you're not aware, he is one of the co-hosts for the Pen Pals podcast alongside Rory Scoville, who's also been a guest on the Cripescast. And he's also on Dumb People Town with the Sklar brothers. And he's got two specials out there. There's Thanks, Diane, and also Rose Gold. He's going to be filming his new stand-up special later this year. So we chit-chat about everything from, the Illinois-Wisconsin deal. We talk a little bit about Six Flags. We talk about cabins up north and things you do up north, getting a ride home by a police officer after a alcohol consumption kind of night, but not in a bad way. Just you'll get to the story. You'll get to it. And also Sybaris Pool Suites. Okay, I know there's some super fans out there. So we touch on it all. We had a lot of fun. And here's my conversation, ladies and gents, with Daniel Van Kirk. So in this podcast, I don't know, have you ever listened to a Cripescast?
Yes.
Did you like it or not really?
No, I liked it.
What'd you think could be
I listened
better?
to one episode probably, I think right after our first meeting. I swear on everything Rochelle, Illinois. I liked it. I can't remember what you were talking about.
It doesn't matter.
But I feel like it might have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I listened to an old one.
They're kind of changing. It's sort of a free living format.
I bet you I can find out.
Don't worry about it. It wasn't an important question.
Curious.
Wasn't an important question.
I know, but now I'm curious.
Who did the song at the beginning of your podcast?
Which one?
The one where you guys sang.
Mine and Rory's Pen Pals?
Yeah.
The Winter Sounds.
That was it.
Patrick Keenan of the Winter Sounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it sounds really good.
Dude, we love that song.
It's really good. You don't need to find that out.
Yeah, but all I have to do is click played.
Okay.
It doesn't tell me.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Well, it's nice of you to chit-chat with me in this beautiful hotel room.
Fireside chat, dude.
This fireplace is incredible, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
Have you ever been in a hotel room with a fireplace like this?
Nah, only one with a circular bed.
Where was that? Rochelle?
Of course, dude.
Yeah, nice.
The Comfort Inn, Rochelle, Illinois.
Where were we? I was in outside of Wausau or Wapaka or something, and we were at an American, and it had a step up. This was like an American that I think before that was a Sybaris pool.
The
suite.
Sybaris, that's what I was trying to think of.
Do you remember the Sybaris?
Yeah, all those themed rooms.
The syphilis is what my uncle called it.
Perfect.
Is it still around? I haven't seen a Sybaris commercial in years.
There was one here. There's one in the suburbs here.
Well, there's one in Milwaukee for a long time. I grew up always seeing.
Did you ever go to one?
No, I've never gone to one. I mean, as a kid, I would imagine about them because you would see these commercials and there'd be like, a really attractive gal in a one-piece.
A lot of crossfades from like a fireplace to like a hot
champagne, hot tub, and then them smiling and laughing, going down a slide,
and then like a gentle cheek touch.
Yeah,
and which means sex.
It meant sex, and somehow I didn't know what sex was at that point in my life. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years old, but I knew that one day I was going to grow up and get to go to the Sybaris. And have you ever? You've never been to a Sybaris.
No.
You've never had the desire to go to the Sybaris. Did you go through your Sybaris stage? And for people who don't know, by the way,
themed rooms.
Well, yeah, and let's also take a break right here to cut the commercial in.
Escape to Sybaris, a private paradise voted the best romantic getaway in the United States. Visit us at www.sybaris.com to receive a free brochure and save $100 on your next romantic getaway.
How do you spell it? Syberas. Sybaris.
U.S.
Oh, Sybaris. It's almost like a Polaris. It's almost a mix between syphilis and Polaris.
This is good content.
Yeah, it's like Sybaris Hotel commercial. This is going to be worth it. This is going to be worth the hot start to the podcast. Oh, yes, dude. Here it is. Jeez, I already can tell by the thumbnail. That's the one.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
the soft touch.
Look, she's wearing a one piece. I told you.
Well, they're not overt.
Wow.
And
this is more erotic than I remember.
yeah, me too. This is after we got out of high school.
Wow.
$100.
888-805-POOL. That's not the Wisconsin version. I didn't realize it was a national. But
Wait, I didn't realize that either.
They just said in the United States. Now they might just say that to make it sound more fancy, but I'm telling you I don't think that's one they would have floated the boat in Milwaukee.
Did you ever see the movie Blue Valentine?
Yeah.
I think it's Michelle Williams and Ryan.
I saw that.
Not Reynolds. What's the other one? Gosling.
Yeah. That came out.
And the whole thing basically takes place that they're at a Sybaris for their anniversary, and their marriage like falls apart. And they're in like the blue room. They're in like the themed room.
Oh man,
like the ice room or something like that.
You know what's funny? I can't remember if I've seen that
It's
or just the
heartbreaking.
previews.
It's heartbreaking.
What year did it come out?
Maybe 2007,
Okay.
2009.
Okay. Were you seeing it with a partner at that time? No. Did you see it in the theater alone?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay.
But I remember hearing that it was really, really, really good.
Mhm.
I think it's the same guy who wrote Manchester by the Sea.
Oh, another good one.
Yeah. Oh, so he does a lot of feel goods.
Yeah.
A lot of
feel goods through feeling bad a little bit.
Ripping your heart out of your chest.
Yeah.
But I think they're in a Sybaris in that movie. They're like a themed hotel. I've never even been to a themed hotel. The jungle, the safari room, the Roman room.
Come on, you never done it. A themed hotel? What about Wisconsin Dells? Where'd you stay in the Dells?
I've never stayed in the Dells. Because
the
the family cabin is like 45 minutes away.
I know.
So we just always go back.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. For people who don't know, where's your family cabin?
We're just outside of Montello.
No, don't
like
give me
north
just
of Portage.
outside. I'm looking for the address.
I can't.
Why not?
That's fun. Don't you have that fear of people showing up?
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be dumb enough to give it. That was a joke. Why aren't you wearing socks right now?
I am. I'm holding on. I'm holding on.
You're holding on to the ankle socks.
Oh my gosh. I'll fight this war till I die.
You think they're gonna come back?
They're great.
I didn't know ankle socks. I'm wearing dress socks right now with tennis shoes. So
perfect. You win.
And they
actually.
say go
that
Packers.
That does make you infinitely cooler than me.
They got a hole in them. Those are well worn.
Yeah. See, that's
well
you're cool.
I'm cool.
Somebody goes, I can tell you're old if you still wear ankle socks. And I go, no, it just means you can tell I don't care what's cool.
Right. But you also did care what was cool in the mid 2000s.
I love a nice clean look. Also, I have such good ankles.
You do have nice ankles.
Yeah.
See, I don't have as good ankles. I got one ankle with fat veins. You know,
You got big vein ankle?
Big vein ink. I do. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, some people try to hide that, cover it up with surgery. I look at my dad's ankles. That dude's got softballs of veins just coming around his ankle.
Do you ever think about
that's a working man's ankle right there.
Do you ever think about the generations that raised us? That outside of the women who did sweat into the oldies, almost no one who raised us has ever gone for a jog.
Well, hang on now.
You do have a runner in your family?
My dad used to jog.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we would go jogging with him.
That's great.
He said, we're going for a jog. You know,
do you have uncles that have never jogged?
Oh, do I ever?
See?
Dude.
Okay, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Now, I think that at some point, and I think it was maybe around that generation, I think you go to one physical and they're like, you got high cholesterol.
Yeah.
Right? And so what's the cheapest gym you got?
Right.
You jog.
The cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. The hill. You know, you go
I just
up
think
the
about this
hill.
all the time. We were raised by so many people that were like, all right, I guess I'll stop eating that. But then our generation was like, very workout, go for a run.
Yeah, I think.
But that's great that your dad went for runs.
Yeah, he went for runs.
Oh,
he did.
That makes me happy to hear.
Runs.
I just always worry about that generation that like born in anywhere from like 45 to 65 in that window where they're like, some of them we're like, I'm going to go for a run. But a lot of the other ones are like, all right, I guess I'll just take my beer and take down.
Yeah.
that's their gym membership.
Carry the beer down the stairs. Like carry the salt down to the softener.
Oh my gosh. That was my whole childhood.
Yeah. Speaking of your childhood, let people know where you come from.
Rochelle, Illinois.
What's Rochelle like these days?
It's still great. I think we got 4 street lights.
Congratulations.
Yeah, stoplights, I guess.
When did you get the 4th one?
The most recent one was probably the one by the Walmart, the new Walmart.
Ooh,
yeah.
Walmart are really bringing a stoplight.
Yeah, they need that for that traffic flow.
Yeah.
No, it's a great little farm town. It's about 25 miles south of Rockford, Illinois. So
I know Rockford.
Puts us about 40 minutes south of the border. And it's a great little farm town. Born and raised there, then lived in Chicago, and now I'm in LA.
And what did you have a lot of Illinois pride growing up? Were you like, this is kind of the greatest state in the world?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because I think this is the thing. Wisconsin is so good with their branding. Like, you come into the state and there's a huge, we talked about this the first time we conversed. There's a huge wooden like shrine,
welcome,
like wooden sign,
to
like
Wisconsin.
Yes, like a photo opportunity. And then when you're leaving Wisconsin, you come into Illinois, it's just one of those standard rectangle green metal signs that says like Illinois welcomes you. Maybe it's white with some blue lettering to like really mix it up.
See,
there's no like branding, and you think like, you know, the lower part of Illinois is parallel to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And then the northern part of Illinois is sort of like Wisconsin adjacent.
Exactly.
And so it's odd to feel, and then obviously Chicago is such a huge, you know, its own like identity on the state. It really sort of feels like 2 to 2.5 states in Illinois.
You guys are kind of like Ohio in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
You know,
yeah. California too. I mean, NorCal to SoCal is like insanely different.
Yes.
One is essentially like, well, I mean, it really was Mexico, and then the other part is the Pacific Northwest.
Right. And it's
incredibly different. But yeah, Illinois is that way. I think, you know, because like you get Central Illinois, downstate Illinois, you're going to have as many Cardinals fans as you're going to have Cubs fans.
Yeah. And there's Southern accents down there too.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can have very easily like a more of a Wisconsin dialect in Northern Illinois. I think, I wonder if you polled the state, maybe it's Bears, but maybe it's more so even like U of I, like unites the whole state, even for the people who still went to like Eastern and Western and all those other like Illinois colleges or ISU.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's weird. I think like I love Illinois. I absolutely love Wisconsin. But a lot of my my hometown pride is more like Rochelle and Chicago, and then just because of that, it kind of begets Illinois as well.
Yeah. And you grew up. What was your team?
Bears, Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls.
Did the Wisconsin sort of feel, first of all, let's just, before I ask this, you guys don't have really a great welcome sign, but I feel like people are warmly welcomed by the tolls.
Oh my gosh.
And
isn't it wild when you think about that? All these tolls, and Wisconsin has such far better roads. Even like back, like you're like 3 roads off of the freeway, and it's still like a really nice paved road. Not much of a shoulder, but you don't need one out there.
Unless you're biking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like Illinois, all these tolls, and we still have worse roads.
Well,
I've never figured that out.
I don't quite know it. And also, like, I don't like when you're driving from Chicago to Milwaukee, like, if you need to stop, you got 2 places. You're basically in a highway prison for like miles and miles.
And you know miles. Go back to Ohio. They're the worst about that.
Oh, yeah.
When you're going across to Ohio and they're like, oh, do you want to stop at this Sunco or stop in 4 hours?
Right. And by the way, you're going to pay a toll when you get off.
I know.
Yeah.
That drive drives me nuts. Yeah, I don't know. It's different. It's very different going Milwaukee. Because if you go, like, if you're taking what is essentially the Kennedy to Rockford, you get many more good stops. And then obviously once you get to Rockford, you're in Wisconsin in 15 minutes. And then it's great stop after.
And there's no speed limit around Chicago. I feel like every time I'm there, it's fast and furious.
It says, yeah, I agree.
What's
it can be drawing.
about?
It says 55 to maybe 65, but then it's just a free for all.
Yeah.
But everything's gone up to 70 in Wisconsin too, right?
No. We got 55 in some places. There's 70 in places.
But like if you're going through Madison and you're on 90,
I think it's 70.
Yeah, it's 70 there. I think that was a great term. What is your speed limit when it says 70? What are you going? And let's say it's open road. You're not really worried about traffic.
Well, it depends what vehicle I'm in and how much I'm.
Are you a cruise control guy?
Not really.
I'm huge cruise control. I'll cruise control in the city.
I think it's better. Are you cruise control in the city?
I'll cruise
or are you
control.
nuts?
No, man. You want to worry about nothing?
Don't
you
you
get
have
to that next light?
The thing about cruise control is you give up control, you know?
Yeah, but you're cruising.
Yeah, you are cruising. You are cruising.
It's better for your car.
It should be called cruise lack of control, though. You know what I mean?
I mean, some of these cars, you're all done.
Yeah. They just say,
even like the new Toyotas,
it.
It'll just set it and forget it.
Really? And then it breaks for you, which is dangerous because if you get used to that, then you get a car that doesn't do that.
I agree. Yeah. Right. So what's your number? Let's say you are cruising, or if you're just not even cruising, what's your trying to maintain speed? Either way, it's 70. It's 11 o'clock.
No one's around me.
It's either like 11 o'clock on a Sunday, so people are still at church.
Yeah.
Or it's 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. You're not worried about traffic. What's your speed?
It just depends if I'm trying to get there faster. I'm very variable. I don't have a standard practice.
You going over 80?
On a 70, if I got to get somewhere,
you will.
I might be speeding a little bit. I don't want to admit that.
I'll go 79 to 81, and I won't go faster than that.
No, because I've gotten clipped before. You know, I've gotten pulled over
on less than 15 over.
Dude, one time, I got pulled over in Phelps, Wisconsin.
Okay,
I got pulled over from behind a cop. I was speeding up to the cop.
Yeah,
and he went to the side. He got me with his ass radar. I didn't know they had ass radars.
I didn't know they had that either.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair.
No, it didn't. I didn't know that was the rules.
He goes, so he said, do you know how fast you were going behind me?
I said, I don't even think you know how fast I was going behind you, you know? But no, he got me with a ticket. Yeah.
I got a ride from a Wisconsin cop last summer.
How'd that work out for you?
I left the bar.
Good for
told
you.
My buddy, I said, hey, I'm going to walk back to the cabin.
How far of a walk, just for context?
2.2 miles.
That's a nice walk.
Yeah.
Walk it off kind of a walk.
Oh, gorgeous. I'm just out there looking at I'm seeing the future. The sky's so clear, right?
Yeah.
Just absolutely beautiful.
Well, the past, technically.
True.
Yeah.
And, flat circle. And so...
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it all comes... It's both. Because it's all a flat circle anyway, so it's the past and the future. But...
are you saying the earth is flat? I'm confused.
Here we go. Then I derail us entirely. But I also convince you. So I'm walking, and I was very safe about it. Except for I didn't know. I'll say in a second. Here's what I was doing. I was walking with traffic behind me.
Okay.
Which I later in the story find out. I didn't know you're supposed to walk into oncoming traffic.
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. When you're walking, yeah.
You're supposed to be on oncoming.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So
how'd you not know that? You're a grown man.
Just missed me.
Missed
me. So I would go down into the ditch every time a car would come, and I would turn my flashlight on my phone, and I would run my hand in front of it.
Smart.
And people would turn their brights on. Like I was very visible. And then I even did the same thing for cars coming on the other. I would just get over, go down to the ditch. So it took me forever. And I was probably 200 yards from the turn off of the highway. And then from that point, it's maybe another half mile to the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
And cop pulls over to the side, turns on the lights, doesn't get out. And I'm like standing in the ditch because it was a car coming. And I just kind of put my hands up, still doesn't get out of the car. And I'm like, well, if you're not here for me, you got to let me know.
Yeah.
You know? So then he gets out and he goes, what are you doing? And I felt like the old Bill Engvall bit, like, you know, I wanted to go, walking. And he goes, walking, huh? And I said, yeah, I just said, I mean, I didn't say that, you know, but I'm like, I just said, he goes, walking, huh? Oh, yeah. And he goes, everything all right? I go, 100%. He goes, you're supposed to be on the other side of the road. And I go, I honest to God didn't know that. And he's like, where are you headed to? And you could tell, you know, when cops they ask you questions you're supposed to answer that sound rhetorical. Like, good night tonight?
Yeah,
like, yeah. So then I said, I was at the bar with my buddies and they were having a good time and I was done. So I just decided to walk back to the cabin. So you're walking then? And I'm like, yeah, is this an interrogation? And then he goes, well, where is it at? And I said, I take a right there. And then I'm off the highway and maybe another half mile. And he goes, and everything's all right? And I go, 100%. And he goes, all right, well, I guess I'll give you a ride, which also wasn't a question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I go, okay.
You didn't say I don't take rides from strangers.
Right. I go, all right. So then I get in the car and he shuts both the doors and he's walking around and I go, did I just arrest myself? Like, yeah. I just got in this cop car.
Yeah.
And then he drives, we get to the cabin and then he stops and he's like, so you just here for the weekend? Which also is another like feeling out what level of fib you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, I mean, I live in LA, but my family's been coming up here since 61. So, you know, pretty much 3 times my whole life has been spent up here. And he's like, oh, okay, what do you do? And then I go, oh, I live out in LA. And then he's like, but what do you do out there? And then you've had these conversations and you're like, how far into this do I want to go? Because once you get to comedy.
Oh, you got a Midwest goodbye on your hands,
right,
my guy.
And so I was like, I just out there for work. Work took me out there. What type? And I was like, I work in entertainment. So you do entertainment stuff or yeah? Which again, I'm like, is that a question? You just repeated what I said. And then he goes, what do you do though? And I go, oh, I'm a comic. And he goes, you do comedy? Oh, I love comedy. And then I'm like, then I again realize I can't get out of this car till he lets me out.
Yeah. Oh, you can't.
Yes. So then I got to hear how much he loved comedy and where he could find my stuff. And then he wanted to look up my special while we're there. And I'm in there like 6 minutes sitting. But I'm at the same time, I'm like,
are you backseat or front seat?
In the back.
Oh,
I'm behind the cage.
You're fully arrested.
Yes. I'm an untrained dog on a road trip. So he proceeds, a very nice guy, but you want to talk about cruise control? I have no control to end this conversation.
Yeah.
So then finally I said something like, yeah, I just really wanted to get into that cabin we've been at for the last 10 minutes before all these guys got back here.
Yeah.
So then he went out, and a really nice guy went out and let me out and shook my hand and everything. But I was like, man, that could have gone forever. Because, if you're like on a plane, the first thing when you tell somebody, they go, you do it. And you go, oh, I do comedy. They'll tell me a joke. And, and I always go, oh, I'm not good. I'm not any good at it. And then if they laugh, they're like, oh, that was funny. I was like, okay, you get it. And then sometimes I'll get somebody to go, well, if you're not good, why do you do it?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they give you a lecture on why you really should do something productive. If it's not working out, you know.
Yeah. But that was my
you didn't. Summertime. Yeah, you can tell though that you got that bit of a fib in you because you should have invited him in for a beer.
I should have. Yeah. So we got Busch Lights in there if you want to come in, buddy. I think we got some bottled Blatz if you're in the mood.
The bottled Blatz are nice.
Hard to find.
A Blatz in a bottle.
That bar I was telling you about with the meat raffle.
Yeah.
Bottle Blatz, $1.25 bottle Blatz.
That's an insane meat raffle. I got to get over there.
We're going to do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know what I like? I like a nice Blatz sign outside a bar.
There's nothing,
There's nothing more warming than that because that bar has been around for a long time. Yep. They weren't just handing out Blatz signs for the past several decades, since before that Sybaris commercial.
It says two things. It either says, we've been here a long time and your grandpa liked this bar, or at the very least, it says, we were smart enough to buy this sign at the flea market. And either way, good people.
Yeah. Flea markets are, I'm saying flea markets and estate sales and garage sales. What's your go-to?
A flea market's number one.
Flea market's number one for you.
And then I would, if we're just talking Wisconsin, estate sale.
Estate sale.
Don't give me an estate sale where you've bought everything outside. That's just a big garage sale. I want to walk through your house.
It's a museum.
Yes. Yep. And see how these people lived.
Every room has its own story.
Yes. I want you selling stuff in the medicine cabinet. I went to one of those last summer.
Did you get some Prilosec?
Dude, I looked around. They tried to sell me a Buick. And that car was so good. These two old women were trying to sell their mom's old Buick that I told multiple people, I'm like, if you know anybody needing a car, that's a good Buick they're getting rid of.
Was it one of the Buicks, one of those old boat Buicks?
It was in between, like a 97. Oh. Like where it was like after the big boat, but they hadn't partnered with Tiger Woods yet.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
A little more rounded on the edges.
Yes, exactly. It was in Westfield, Wisconsin.
That was around the era where they got the ceiling fixed, because for a while, my first car was a Buick. My aunt's mom's old Buick, and that was where like the ceiling felt was
you had to hold it up while you drove.
Yeah, well, actually, this was a fancier one. It had the thumbtacks holding it up. So I'm not sure what was going on with the glue in the 80s, but it just wasn't holding.
That adhesive couldn't handle that Midwest humidity.
No, it couldn't.
My grandma had a huge Buick. It was like 2 couches on wheels.
They were insane what they were building back then. Just steel and rubber and 4 miles to the gallon.
And you know what's a big is a misnomer, if I can try to be fancy?
What's that?
People think those cars are safe. They're like, now, like everybody we hang out with at weddings is like, these new cars, they crumple. They fall apart. You need a big old steel, something to really survive. The thing is the exact opposite is true. The reason these cars now like completely disintegrate is because they absorb all of the energy of the wreck, so that there's no energy by the time it gets to the driver from like the front or the back, which is how you survive. But these old big pieces of steel, they just conduct that energy all the way through the car. And that's how you get really messed up.
See, I didn't even know that.
Yes. You think that it's like a bigger, stronger car, you're going to survive. No, you're way more likely to get killed.
Wow.
But like, that's why when you see like something barely above a fender bender and the whole front of that Toyota Camry's gone.
Yeah.
It's because none of that energy made its way into the actual cabin of the car.
Science, man.
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah. That's the disconnect between science and people understanding it.
Yeah. That you need to put that on a shirt. That says a lot about where we're at.
I know. If you can't visually see it, it's all about marketing these days.
Exactly.
If you can't market it, might as well not exist.
Oh, do you know how many things in my family have been written off because somebody said, don't feel right to me?
Yeah.
Well, I can explain it. Yeah, you might want to. I don't care. I don't feel right.
It's funny. The same person that says that is out there like drilling holes in the only thing that's keeping them above a freezing lake.
Yes, that's so true.
Or driving their car out on. How far have you ever driven your car out on ice?
I'd never. I told you this. We were talking 2 weeks ago. I was standing at a bar on Fox Lake, Wisconsin. And I'm looking out the window and there's just 2 headlights of a big old Silverado come driving out. I still can't get over it. Because there's always that moment you go, oh yeah, it's the ice out there. It scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, it looks like an alien if you're not used to seeing it,
How often does somebody lose control of a car and hit somebody's hut? That has to happen.
There's actually a video recently on Lake Winnebago. It was super windy. It was windier than it had ever really been, I think, in Wisconsin. I don't know if ever, but in a long, long time.
Yeah.
There was good ice. So there were a bunch of people out on Lake Winnebago with their ice shanties out there. Now, the thing about an ice shanty is in the right wind, it's basically a sail. And there was this ice shanty, it got away, and this fellow was chasing it in his car, and it was heading toward another ice shanty.
Shut up.
And it hit the ice shanty. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never done any ice fishing.
Okay, you're missing out.
Am I really?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be funny or whatever. It's I can't think about what element of it would appeal to me.
Well, do you like a bar?
Yeah, but let's go to one.
This is a bar where you can fish.
Fair.
Yeah, you just sit there.
But if you're drunk enough, so is a Bass Pro Shop.
That's true.
Yeah, but okay. Do some people essentially move into their shanty for the winter and you see them on like Christmas and New Year's?
Some people really get into it and they'll kind of sleep there. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
But when you do a shanty, how many other friends can you have with you in one? In an average shanty or the shanties you've experienced in your life?
You can
Two?
get it. Well, first of all, it probably depends how many inches of ice we got going. You know?
That's a great point too.
And
this is a lot of factors.
Yeah, because if you've got your shanty out there, you getting it out there when there's probably a nice foot, a little more of ice.
Right.
You know, you're feeling confident. Okay, that ice isn't going there for a while.
Can I ask you a dumb question? Not to cut you
Sure.
off, but I genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
What is the authority that tells everyone we're good on the ice? How do you know?
How do you know you're good at the ice?
Yes.
You find your buddy Larry. And
For
you
real?
You call up Larry. Larry, how's
You've
the
been out
ice
there and
out
checked
there?
it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good.
And is somebody like Larry like your go-to, or does that guy sort of hold a position around the lake or whatever that everyone knows, like Larry's on it, he's checking it out? Or does everybody have their own Larry?
Everyone's got their own Larry.
Okay.
My guy's Larry.
Okay.
Larry Smith. Yeah.
And you 100% trust him when he tells you like,
Oh, yeah.
ice is good.
Now, Larry's been to the bottom of a few drinks before. So
Right.
that's a guy who would know.
Yeah.
You know? You don't want to find the
I
guy.
believe you. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, you don't want to find the guy that's never fallen in because, you know.
Yeah, he
Yeah, no, for
yeah,
sure.
If you haven't touched the void, how do you know where the end is?
Right. Larry knows the limit. There's a few things you have to consider. One is typically you look at the number of inches of ice. Now you get something like 4 or 5 inches, the first freeze. First freeze is always the best ice. Solid. You should be good. Okay.
Mhm.
But 4 inches, people go out there with crazy little ice, but I wouldn't recommend it. But you get, 4 inches, you can walk out there cautiously.
Now, look, there's a lot of people probably screaming at the podcast because they're like, this Daniel guy's an idiot.
No.
To wit, I go, yes.
Okay.
Also, if I'm an idiot, there's someone else who's listening to this who's also an idiot. So we're helping the we're not helping the non-idiots, but we're doing a lot of work for people like me.
Yeah.
So the ice that you walk onto is obviously different than the ice once you're out in the middle, right?
Yeah, it depends how deep.
So like, you can't trust your walk-on ice as the same as you would trust the ice out where it gets real deep.
Typically, the most dicey ice is going to be closest to shore in a lot of ways.
Dicey
It's
ice,
kind of be the
great
last
gentleman's club.
to fully freeze. What'd you say?
Dicey ice, great gentleman's club.
Is it? Where's that
know,
at?
It just sounded
good. Hey, maybe that's. You kind of look like a guy who would own Dicey Ice. I gotta say, with that nice Kohl's
I'll
button
take
down
it.
you got.
100%. You know.
Yeah, you got. But did you buy with Kohl's cash or did you go
No,
the full dollars?
It was early Black Friday sale.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
good for you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't take that one off.
I love this.
Yeah,
there, you saw I have it in blue too.
Oh, that really?
Yes.
You got two for? Did you get a twofer?
They were 50% off.
So a twofer.
Yeah, they're basically paying you to buy it.
Yeah. And you can return it anytime.
Anytime.
You can take that back to Kohl's.
Anytime.
Kohl's is doing its best to compete with like Amazon, so they're just letting you do anything.
Anything. It's a free for all.
Yeah. Speaking of ice fishing in a facility, I mean,
they wouldn't care.
They wouldn't.
Okay, so you're saying ice where you walk on can be just as good as your ice.
Look, it's very variable. It depends on the lake, depends on how deep the lake is. It depends if there's been snow or if it's just straight ice. Like snow will insulate the ice and make it less secure. So if it goes ice, snow, ice, but if it's under 32 degrees, you're making ice.
Right.
But if it gets down there into, you get a cold snap of like the teens for like a few days. Well, now you're making pretty good ice and you should be confident.
Yeah.
But they have ice reports and you look and you see how many inches there is. Now, I wouldn't go driving a car out on a lake personally if there wasn't like a good, well over a foot of ice.
Okay.
Now I'm not giving exact numbers because I don't want to get sued when someone does that.
Good for you.
You should be really careful. Also, if you're driving your car out on the ice, on the roads, it's click it and ticket. On the ice, it's click it and casket. You know, you don't want to be locked into that situation.
You fully void all your insurance the moment those wheels hit that water.
Oh, yeah. And you go windows down, too.
Oh, you have to.
Last thing you want to be doing is, you ever try breaking a window?
You can't.
You see an iRobot?
Yes.
That messed Will Smith up.
Have you seen those tools that they sell that break the window? Everybody should have one of those in their car,
especially. And here's the other thing with your ice fishing. You should have spikes around your neck. There's these 2 spikes. It's a spike necklace. The spikes clamp into each other.
Is a bit.
No, it's not. The spikes sort of clamp, so it's not going to cut your jugular, hopefully. But it's like if you fall in the lake, now you got 2 ice picks. And you
Shut up.
Because that's the thing. If you fall in the lake and you try to get on that ice, it's so slippery. You don't have traction. You gotta like seal your way back up there. You gotta pretend like you're a seal. Increase your surface area.
Or you got George Bailey and you chain gang it.
Yeah, you could chain gang it.
To pull your brother Harry out.
That's a good reference right there. Thanks, buddy. But if you get those spikes, now you're like an Everest guy and you can get out there. And your biggest concern falling in the ice probably isn't drowning. It's probably hypothermia.
But do you understand?
Yeah.
The thing that you're selling me on is if you ever fished at a bar, you've also listed so many scenarios where you need to be ready at any moment to die.
That's true. I'm seeing the flaws in my argument.
I'm not saying it isn't a great time, but you're saying there is prep.
You should be cautious.
Popping and like
you can hear something. Now, typically that means it's just making more ice.
Oh, really?
Or it could also mean there's an ice. See, there are ice shelves. In bigger bodies of water, there are shelves. And you got to be careful about those because those shelves, that's a weakness in the ice. And sometimes what they do, there's actually a bridge. They'll put ice bridges up because there's open water. So it's a real complicated thing. After saying all this, legally, for legal purposes, I'm going to say never drink an ice fish.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
You know what I think is probably... maybe even statistically, maybe more dangerous than ice fishing is when these kids go out and camp on sandbars.
Oh, that's fun. Why is that dangerous?
Oh, there's horror stories every year where the sandbar just gives way in the middle of the night and these kids are in their tents or in their sleeping bags.
I did not know that.
And they're gone.
I did not know that. Yeah,
there was like 6 kids. They lost like, you know what's funny as we get older, it's like 2 or 3 summers ago. It's probably like 12 or 13 summers ago. But yeah, I think it was on the Wisconsin River.
That's exactly
and they were on a sandbar and 3-4 o'clock in the morning, it just gave way.
No,
these kids are all zipped into tents, zipped into
oh my gosh, I didn't know this at all.
I mean, you're done.
I mean, this has really turned into a PSA podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be scary.
You know what we're doing? We're turning into our grandparents. You ever have a conversation with your grandma? Did you hear about Tommy Johnson?
Yeah,
you remember
right.
Tommy Johnson?
You're 100% right.
He was married to Liz wife from down the street. She was married first to her second cousin and was a little weird, but then she married Tommy after that. You remember?
Yeah, he's gone.
She played the volleyball. It goes on for like 20 more minutes. You get the bio because they knew a lot of facts, and then they also read the obituary, you know?
And then eventually they go, well, they were riding in the back of a truck. And then you go, oh, okay, well, this is where we're going with this.
They're dead. They died. And then it's always hard to rescue a conversation after we get to they died. Like, oh, jeez. Son of a gun.
So you got your garbage out. That's tomorrow then?
Yeah.
Like you got to come up with some other.
You know what? What's that voice you do? Who's that?
Oh, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you if you want to know.
Yeah, tell me.
Well, I got a friend. No, I ain't gonna tell you his name because it don't matter here nor there. But I used to work with this guy, and he always wore a watch. And one day he comes in, not wearing. I go, what happened to your watch? Well, his wife. Do you remember Deb?
Yeah, Deb.
Okay.
From down the road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She thought his watch was in the garbage disposal.
Oh, shoot.
She reaches down into that garbage disposal.
Oh, no, I see where this is going.
Pops her head up too fast, hits a pot with the back of her head, has a concussion for 3 days. She's been sleeping in the dark for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. Now,
no.
I'm sorry to hear about the concussion, but where I thought you were going to go, and she accidentally, you should never stick your hand down the garbage disposal.
No.
You can pull it,
right.
And then them things can be spring-loaded, the older versions, and that's how you lose the top of your pinky.
That happened too.
That happened too.
But they got that fixed. It's the sleeping in the dark that's really hurting her.
Oh, geez.
I go, you sleep in the dark anyway. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I know.
I guess that's where she's watching her shows, and she won't come out of the bedroom, wants a divorce.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, that'll happen to you, you know?
It will. It will. Nowadays, people leave. You know, what are you going to do?
Back in the day, they stayed.
You stayed unhappy.
You did.
Yeah, married, unhappy. And that's what your shanty's for.
Yeah. You
go
get
out
out
there for 4 months.
Yeah.
Come in on the 25th, throw some gifts at the kids, go back out to the lake. People say, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, to be left alone.
Do you ever slip into that character when you're at a bar and just commit to
gosh.
it? You do a lot of characters.
I love it.
Folks, I got to tell you, the Cripescast is brought to you, powered by, in fact, Everlight Solar. We got those solar panels up on the roof, and they are keeping the lights on, the camera working, this microphone going. And Everlight Solar, if you want to save some money in your pocket, you want to help save the planet a little bit, go to everlightsolar.com and have them come out to your place for a free consultation. Also, we got all the merch you need, the Midwest merch you need on manitowocmint.com. We got new brandy shirts. We got bottle openers. We got hoodies. We got cribbage boards. We got fishing lures, the whole deal. Check it out, manitowocminute.com. And also, if you guys want to see me on tour, check out charliebarons.com/tour. And we'll see you on the road. Got some tickets left in Oregon later this year. And we're going to Virginia. We're going down south a little. So I can't remember exactly where, but you can find out charliebarons.com/tour. It's going to be a fun run. Hope to see you on the road. All right, back to my conversation with Daniel Van Kirk.
I adopt a dialect if I'm talking to someone who has a dialect, and I cannot help it. I don't know if it's like just a constant need to be accepted and liked.
That's what it is.
Which is why we're comics.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
I don't know if it's like I want to like belong or like have an affinity, but yeah, if I sit down at a bar in Wisconsin or even here in Chicago, like I'll start talking to somebody like, I don't know, these say everything's mad. I'm mad and everybody's mad. But then I'll go to Wisconsin. I was sitting in Wisconsin up at the bar last summer. And there was a guy who was the sweetest Wisconsin dialect, and he was so mad. And he was across the bar. I love when people either don't know or don't care that you can hear their entire conversation at the bar.
You almost think they want the audience.
Yes. But then if they realize you're paying attention, they'll like clam up a little.
Oh, okay. So they just.
But this guy was like,
that's the booze talking.
Yeah.
You just don't. Yeah.
But he was like, We've been friends, you know. We've been friends for probably 20 years, and now he's dating Sheila, and I never liked her, and I don't like her now. And I'll tell you right now, I think she's a bitch. And that might be a mean thing to say, but I'll say it out loud, you know. I mean, I'm not going to say it to her, and I'm not going to say it to him, but she's nothing but a bitch. And he was in the sweetest dialect, and then I ended up talking to him. And I'm like, "How you guys doing?" And he's like, "Oh, we're pretty good." And I talked like that for the rest of the night. And then I leave. And I'm like, "What am I doing?" But I don't know. I think I just want to get along with everybody.
No, that's how accents work. You know,
if I moved to England, I would have a dialect within a month.
Yeah, and people you want to
not even like on purpose.
You go full Madonna with it.
Yes,
yeah.
And you never want to go full Madonna.
No, you don't, unless you're Madonna. But yeah, we want to fit in. That's part of our our evolutionary traits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be the middle of the pack so we don't get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. Because the saber-tooth doesn't go for the pack, it goes for the straggler.
100%.
So
yeah. We want to like blend in. It's weird with what we do as stand-ups because we want to be entirely like specific about our perspective and thoughts.
Yeah.
While being relatable to hundreds of people at the exact same time.
It's quite the balance, isn't it? It's kind of the fun part of it all. When did you start stand up?
2015.
And where?
Comedy on State was the first place I ever
Comedy
featured.
on State.
I
Great
know,
club.
which was sort of like,
but that's where you first featured.
Yeah.
So what you came up?
I didn't really do mics.
You didn't do mics? You just went straight up,
I started
at
Second
featuring?
City and then UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade, which was founded by, Matt Walsh and Ian and Amy Poehler. And
I was there. I did UCB. I wasn't as good as you, though.
I don't know.
You were on pretty big team, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a company member for a few years, and then I did my own show for a year. But I started doing the podcast with the Sklar brothers, and then started just based on that show. It's called Dumb People Town. We would have like 3 dumb news stories, and they kept being like, Daniel, you're doing takes, like you have a take on it, like you're doing a run and making a bit out of this news story, like you're writing stand up.
Right.
And I was just too afraid. I was just, because I knew what it was. I knew what bad was. And I'm like, well, I'm bad. So I don't want to be bad. I don't want to do bad stand up. And then they eventually were like, that's it, dude. You're just going to come to Madison with us, and you're just going to feature.
And how did it go?
It went really good. There was, I still have the set list that I wrote at the Concourse Hotel the night that we got there before we went over to the club. And there was definitely one, but maybe 2 bits from that first set from that weekend even that ended up on my album.
Really?
Yeah. One of them was the flea market bit.
Oh, that's a great bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of just wrote flea market, whips, Marilyn Monroe, and grenade. And then I just wrote it all on stage. I just had the confidence of like, I'll just tell this story like I would tell us sitting in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're the same way. Like if I can make that connection of I would say this at the corner of a bar and make everybody laugh, if I can just somehow establish that with this audience, it's going to be fine. Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but it definitely isn't going to be bad. Right. It'll at least be fine. And then I did a couple of characters, and I knew that I could probably bury in about 10 minutes out of just doing character like crowd work. But as you know, like that sort of felt like a cheat, And so when I first started out, I was like, that's not stand up. I mean, like it is funny and nobody's going to want their money back, but I'm not giving my perspective on a life experience or a viewpoint on something. It felt like a cheat, but I had to fill that time.
I cheated too when I first started. I was doing or cheat for stand up, but I would do like half of it was on Keynote.
Sure. Yes.
Sort of same thing. But were you doing like the Marky Mark?
Yes, I was doing a Steven Seagal bit, and then I would do like a Mark Wahlberg bit.
And so have you just always been sort of good at accents? You've always just
what's weird is like people's like I remember, I would always go into Sunday school and do as many sketches as I could have memorized from Saturday Night Live the night before. And so I would do Dana Carvey's George Bush and Dana Carvey's Ross Perot and Matt Foley, motivational speaker, and I could mimic them all. And then in high school, I could like do impressions of like our head football coach and stuff like that. But I've never been like a true, like a Jonathan Kite or a Matt Friend or a James Adomian. Mm-hmm. People don't know them, look them up. But these such amazing impressionists. I could never like watch you on stage and be like, all right, I'm going to figure out how to do that. Or, like a Frank Caliendo, and then like do that impression. That just isn't how my brain works. It's almost like it worms its way into my head. And then at some point in just general conversation or by myself, I can just kind of figure out how to do that voice. It's a lot of times if I see someone else do the impression, I can see the
how to do
choices they made, and then I can do it, and then usually end up doing it almost as good as you don't think I'm just doing their impression.
Right.
But to me, I'm always like, well, I only figured this out because I saw how they figured it out.
Yeah.
But then I'm a good enough mimic to then make it my own. But like Wahlberg was probably some of Andy Samberg's, like, tell your mother hello for me, okay?
Yeah.
But even his is like a really high whisper. It's a really high, like, it's really high up here, which is like Mark. Like, he will talk like this. But my Mark Wahlberg, and this isn't a knock or a takeaway of Andy's at all, but mine was a more varied levels, which he really is. Like, if you see Mark Wahlberg ever get interviewed, it's just like it's down here, like I talk. I'm from Boston, and if I can go up in Dorchester with my brothers, and then there is the movie, like if in The Fighter, he does go high a lot, where he'll be like, "This is my time, not your time, not your time. This is my time right now, okay?" And so I sort of took that on and started doing that, but it wasn't. I wish I had the ability to figure out how to do like a really good Anthony Bourdain like Jonathan Kite does, or a Howard Stern like Matt Friend does. But like, I definitely have that mimic. And I think for me, it comes more into play with just like even our hanging out. We're like, Dante and I were like in the car with this guy today. This is like one of the greatest, wildest Uber drivers I've ever had. And I knew in that conversation, I'm like, oh, I can talk like this guy. Like very, very closely.
What was the Uber driver? What was that story? What did he say that make you think like?
Well, I woke up, I get to the car first, and he cracks the window, and he goes, Dante, is it Dante? And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is Dante. I'm sorry, it's no disrespect to you, my friend. I cannot let you in the car unless I know you are Dante. And I go, okay, well, that's him right there. And I had root beer here, and we did do our root beer rankings at lunch. And I had root beer, and I had a lid out, and he's like, alcohol in that drink? And I go, nope, it's root beer. Understand? Don't take offense. I'm not saying you have a drinking problem, my friend. I just have to ask. And if you do spill it, I will do my best to make the adjustment. Which means he's going to charge us if we spill, you know? And I was like, well, I got the lid on it. All right, now I do have to ask you, Dante, and can I provide you with information that I believe can be helpful to your life? And I look over at Dante and I'm like, you better say yes to this man. And he goes, well, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds and tell you everything. And I said, and he can vouch for this, I go, well, we got 8 minutes, so let's go. Would you steer away from this guy? No.
I'd extend the trip.
No.
I'd had to stop.
Oh my gosh. I'm leaning on him harder than the Tower of Pisa. And I'm like, please tell us everything. He's like, do not get in an Uber if the person doesn't match the driver. And then, oh my gosh. And then it like started shaded towards like immigrant sort of thing. And then I'm trying to like pull it back a little bit. I was like, yeah, well, those people get taken advantage. They do get taken advantage of, but you can't trust all of them. I was like, well, then we can move on. So then I started throwing stuff at him like, we were dodging. Because then I was like, where in the city are you from? He's like, well, I grew up little village. And people think things are bad now. We had a lot of those gangs growing up. We had the Latin Kings and the Black Disciples. And, we've seen a lot of civil unrest. And I'm like, cool, you Bears fan? I just keep trying to pivot. I don't like them. I call into that radio station sometimes. And they hang up on me. They say just because I like Mitch Trubisky, I'm a bad guy. They call me a truther. And I'm like, that's not what a truther is. This is all true.
I can't believe that there's a radio station hanging up on this.
On Rich?
Actually, now I know why they're hanging up on him, because he probably goes right to...
Yeah.
I say, it's me, Rich. Why would you hang up on me, But I don't call in that much anymore.
Oh, he was great. He loved us by the end. He was very skeptical of us at the beginning and loved us by the end. I wanted so bad. I should have gotten his info. I was like, I want to have this guy on my podcast.
Yeah. I mean, he's Little Italy. I don't know Chicago. Where
Taylor Street.
Okay.
Yeah, there was riots there like in the 60s.
Okay, got it. Is that like South Side? Is that like
Yes, it's like near South Side.
Okay, got it.
The original Al's Beef is over there on Taylor Street.
Yeah,
the best shaved ice in the city is over there.
Okay.
Like Italian shaved ice. Little Italy's awesome. Yeah. If you ever end up in the city again, there's 100 other places I want to take you.
Yeah, I'll have to get over there.
Yeah. But so like I'll hear a voice like that, be like, oh, I can talk like this. But I tend to do a lot of impressions. Like in my first album, I lost my book bag at Midway Airport, and I had to call, and the Chicago PD runs that, and so I ended up doing like this Chicago PD character. Daniel, how are you, Daniel? You say you left your bag here. I mean, I'm sure my wheelhouse is predominantly Midwest, but I'll do like Southern and stuff like that too. That happens. Like if I'm in the South, I'll start speaking with a Southern dialect within hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
I wouldn't do it within hours. I lived down there for a little bit, and I noticed
You caught it?
I started saying appreciate you.
Oh, okay.
Appreciate you, because that's all they say down there. It's I appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I'll do y'all, All right, y'all have a good time. This is so great to see y'all.
I did do a couple y'alls that never felt right on my tongue.
I think I'll incorporate any of it.
Yeah. No, I think you're a little bit more of a chameleon than me.
I know, but it feels like a problem.
It's not a problem as long as you admit it.
I bet I code switched a little bit talking to the woman at the Wiener Circle. Did I, Dante? Do you know? Yeah, probably. But she also loved me.
What happened at the Wiener Circle?
Have you ever been?
I haven't been to the Wiener Circle. I mean, it sounds like, is that Boys Town or?
Yeah, she's near there.
Okay.
It's made popular. Well, it's just a Chicago institution, but it's made popular by an episode of This American Life, and then also Conan O'Brien sent Triumph the Insult comic dog there with Jack McBrayer. Okay. So if you go after nighttime, they yell at you and they're very mean.
Oh, gotcha.
But you go in the day and there is a little bit of an edge to it, but they're very nice.
It's like Ed DeBevick's.
Yeah, but it's more authentic. Not much of a show. And they do char dogs and fries. It's just one of the best Chicago spots you can go. Please don't send me letters. I know there's a million great dogs. Super Dog, Gina Jude's. I love them all. But Wiener Circle is great.
My dad, we were in San Diego.
Yes.
He had some convention there. So I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And I drove down to meet him. And we went for lunch at kind of like one of those places like Ed DeBevick's where it's a little shticky. But they're like, I think it's called Dick's. Actually.
Okay, yeah.
And my dad's
Dick's
name
like
is
the
Dick.
last resort type place?
Yeah. So I says, "It's Dick, we should go into your thing." My dad gets in there. He doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. The woman is not being very nice.
Right.
And my dad lets it go the first time. Second time, all Fond du Lac Dick comes out.
This is why I love the Midwest.
He starts throwing it back at her.
Of course.
And then she goes back at him.
Yeah.
And I'm watching them one up each other. I was like, I think we got to go before there's a lawsuit.
Or
on
he
one
gets
side
hired.
of this. Yeah, he gets hired.
Because this is my thing. A lot of times, like East Coast, right, will seem, they come off rude and then sort of meet you where you are. Right. Midwest, we come off nice, but we will also just as quickly meet you where you are.
Sure.
So if I walk into a place and I go, "Hey, how's it going?" And they're like, "Fine." I'm like, "All right." And then they're taking your order, and you guys, it's a pretty good place. You guys been here long? And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." Instantly, I'm gonna go, "So you just hate your job?" Right? Like, now it could have gone, the whole thing's we leave hugging, right?
Yeah.
But I think a thing about a lot of people mistake Midwest is like they don't trust the gregariousness or the niceness of it. But we're 2 sentences away from go F yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that is true. I mean, that's already what we're thinking.
It gets mistaken a lot. Yes, it gets mistaken a lot, where I think people are like, in a lot of other parts of the country, they start out sort of like, hey. Where we started like, how you doing?
Yeah.
But we'll instantly go to, you know what? We're not paying because it's obvious you didn't want us here. You have a good day.
There still is a nice fit. You have a good day.
You have a good day.
You watch out for deer out there.
I hope you sort out whatever's going wrong in your life. Thanks for making it our problem for the last 25 minutes while we never got a water.
See, that's real Illinois right there too.
You think?
I think. Well, I've had some, like I was out snowmobiling. Me and my brother.
Yeah,
we were out snowmobiling. First time I had gone snowmobiling in this context. I didn't grow up with snowmobiles.
Yeah, me either.
I had this one snowmobile that we bought, and we fixed up the carburetor, and then we took it out again, and then the freaking clutch broke.
Oh,
so that was it. That was my experience. So I rent these snowmobiles, and I said, "What?" I says to the guy, "What's the rules?" And he says, "If you see a groomer, you let him pass." Okay.
What's that?
Not like that kind of groomer.
I know.
I mean,
I'm trying to think of any other context.
It's like someone who's grooming the trails for people.
Okay.
So we were out on the ice. Okay. And I'm zipping up, and there's this guy grooming, and he grooms the right side. He's coming back to the left side. And this is on the ice. So I figure, this is the snowmobile path.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get there. I start going because he's coming this way. And maybe I figured I wasn't going to pass around him, but it's almost like a car. He's on the left side of the road. I'm on the right side.
Right.
So I start driving the right side. He starts veering into my thing. I was like, I guess I did it wrong. So I pull off to the side of the road, and he goes, "Get out of here. The hell is the matter with you?" I was like, "Sorry, I didn't know what I was doing."
Right.
He goes, "That's obvious." I was like, "All right,
okay.
I'm out." Yeah. So I didn't know. I still don't know what happened there.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, that would eat me alive.
It did eat me alive.
I want to be like, I need to know how I was in the wrong.
Because
I will gladly apologize.
Yeah.
But I need to know.
Well, and the thing is, as a snowmobiler, you basically look like, and I get this, okay, but you're kind of a jet skier. Now, fishermen, jet skier, they don't get along always. You're screwing up the fishing spots. But this guy wasn't fishing. I wasn't sure. But yeah, I wanted to know what I did wrong so I didn't make that mistake again. And
Right.
also I'm a people pleaser,
That's
you know?
same, yeah.
I want to tell them I'm sorry. And I said sorry probably 3 times. I only meant it the first time.
Of course, yeah.
And, but I got that helmet on. So I look like an alien. I'm the bumper of a car at this point,
For sure.
like road rage.
Yes.
This was basically a road rage incident. I took out the humanity of it because I had the helmet on.
Yep.
So I should have been riding unsafe. I bet he would have been less
100%.
pissy.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, because I could give him a little smile. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
I didn't mean it. But what he heard is, sorry, didn't mean it. You know?
That you're 100% right.
Yeah.
When we were like golfing up on a lake in Wisconsin, and it's by our cabin, and that place is like so special to me and to my grandfather. His dream was to someday like have a little place up there, and he passed away. And with like the little life insurance that my grandma got, she took that money and bought this place that is the cabin we still have.
Oh, wow.
And so we're up at the golf course there on the lake, and it's like just off the lake, but it's all part of that. My entire family heritage. Like, we don't have much. What we have is the cabin.
Yeah.
So it's me and my cousin, and we're going golfing, and probably like late 20s, early 30s. And I noticed that there's just a cart of like 2 or 3 old timers just following us. They're not golfing. Every hole we'll play through, and then we'll come off the green and go to tee off, and I see them like come around the corner for the next hole.
You're being tailed.
Yeah, we're being tailed. So we get to like the turn, and I notice that in the next hole, as you come around to the tee box, you can't see the hole till you come around like this thicket. And so we come around there, and I pull back into the thicket, and I'm just going to wait here, And these old timers pull up, and they stop, and they like look around because they don't see where we are. And I go, you want to tell me what the hell you're doing? And they're like, you want to tell us? And I go, well, I'm pretty sure I'm golfing, but I don't know what game you're playing. Well, we're just out here, making sure you guys are behaving yourselves. I go, you got any indication that we're not?
You turn into a good cop pretty quick.
Oh my God, man. I go, you got any indication that we're not? And he goes, I don't know. Young people come out here sometimes and they disrespect the course. And I go, yeah, I'm going to ask you again. Have I done anything like that? And they go, we just want to make sure everything's fine. I go, okay, well, you could also just come up and talk to me, because I'm pretty sure if I disrespected this course or did anything that would make someone in my family mad, my grandfather, whose dream it was to have a place here, would come down from heaven and whip my ass himself. All right, well, we didn't mean nothing by it. And I go, I believe you, but you could have said that. And then they turn around and went away. I was so pissed off.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what do you, I'm not a kid. What are you assuming? I had to know, like, what is this deal? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
If they had pulled up and been like, hey, you guys ever golf here? And I would have been able to flush out what we're doing. They're just doing a little, recon.
Yeah.
But, and I would have been like, oh yeah, we're just playing. This is my cousin. I'm Dan. Great to meet you. And then they instantly would be like, all right, they're fine guys. But it was like the following of it that I was like,
dude,
oh, it drove me nuts.
Imagine.
But it's the same thing. Like, once we were able to just have, and I started out a little hot because I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
But then once I made the joke about my grandpa coming down, they knew right away, like, all right, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm like, we could have done this 3 holes ago.
Right.
You could have made up some bull, I don't know if you can cuss, but bull crap excuse about, oh, we're just trying to find our ball. And I'd be like, you're not trying to find your ball. You're trying to see what I'm up to.
Yeah.
But we all would have left that unspoken. And I would have seen that they were fine guys, and they would have known I wasn't some jagoff, and then everybody would have been fine. But like the preemptive, like, we got to follow these guys on the course. I'm like, you're the weirdos.
Dude, I think that this is the beginning of a show. Like,
which one?
Just the old timers that run the golf course up north, And like these are a couple retired guys.
Yeah.
They're probably volunteer. They probably don't even work at the golf course, but they're the volunteer security.
Yeah, for sure.
They're out there. They got their bird watching binoculars. But one guy's got his hunting scope, not attached to the gun, but just a long scope.
Yeah.
This is the most fun they have ever had.
Oh, they're
in the past few years. They're doing it.
That and the youth scramble that they host for the kids camp in town. But
the youth scramble. Do you like golf?
I love it, and I can't play it at all.
I
absolutely love it. I love watching it. I love the fashion around it.
Really? You love all that, huh?
I love just those clean, like crisp, clean outfits. I think are great.
Wow.
I would love to be good at it.
Yeah.
I've been battling a back injury for the better part of a year and a half.
Awkward
so I can't
stance
do
in
like
the pine straw.
What's that?
Awkward stance in the pine straw.
What is that?
That's how Tiger Woods bummed his knee.
Really?
That's just all I remember from childhood.
Really?
Like Tyler, or what's his name? Tiger, he screwed up his knee.
Standing in that straw?
He messed up his knee.
Well,
and
he torques his body. So, I mean, his swing was so, he had to change his whole swing.
Yeah, but I just remember everyone saying it was an awkward stance in the pine straw. That's all I remember. That's all I know about golf.
My Tiger is better than most. That shot that went in, and I think it's Nance. You just yelling better than most as that ball just goes in. I absolutely love golf. When I get completely healed up, my dream would to be like every city I go, I just jump on some course. Like there's a par 3, little pitch and putt in Austin.
Yeah,
Moon Tower Comedy Festival does like all the comedians do like this little pitch and putt tournament. And every hole is like 100 yards, 80 yards, 120 yards. That's my kind of golf. So much fun, man. Oh my gosh.
I'm good for like 6 normal holes or like 9 par 3 holes.
Dude, I love mini golf.
More
golf than just
good.
How much we love it based on, I'm sure, our shared life experience. Pirates Cove, 72 holes.
Oh, there you go.
70 holes of not seeing your parents.
Right.
while they run to Ho Chunk really quick.
Oh yeah. That'll keep them occupied for about an hour and a half.
Yeah. And then see if anybody there will just give you a ride over to Tommy Bartlett's Robot World. But
go see the upside down White House for a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ride the go-karts at the Trojan Horse
or that
go-kart experience.
That one place where you can feed the deer.
The deer feed.
Yes.
Yeah, like where chronic wasting disease originated.
Oh, yes, 100%. Also, remember
not legally though.
No.
That was a joke for anyone looking to sue me for that one.
Yeah, remember all those? It was all just like fudge and arcades.
Yeah,
and they would have like the early stages of VR, or you would just like watch one of your friends get in the gyroscope in Wisconsin Dells and just spin around for 20 minutes.
The duck boats.
Yeah, the ducks are the best, man.
God, it's a beautiful.
The last time I went, I took my grandma Rosemary. We did the duck boats. And we did Ho Chunk, and then we did Ponderosa, and then we went back to the cabin.
Oh, that's awesome!
It's a great day for me and Rose.
You gave her a great gift with that stand-up special too.
That's
pretty cool.
Rose Gold. Thanks, man. She's the best. But yeah, I love golf. I don't know that I ever need to get good. I like being outside, walking around. It's great. I mean, if you're killing 4 hours with your friends, probably similar to ice fishing, right?
Yeah. Like, you know what's actually cool is sometimes you can do golf on the ice.
They did a tournament at Fox Lake that weekend that I was there.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Maybe that's what the groomer was doing. Maybe he was grooming for ice golf.
But how
does it work?
Yes.
I don't know.
Is it glow in the dark balls?
I've hit glow in the dark balls on the ice a couple times.
And are you trying to put them into the lake? Like, what's the hole?
If you get the floating balls.
Yes. Okay.
But then you got to probably, I don't know. I've never really done it. I've just hit golf balls onto a lake for fun. I'm not a huge golfer.
I'm honest when I say this. I think, and this might not even be the right term, but I'm directionally correct. Per capita, I think Wisconsin has more fun, like user-generated activities than any other state.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's accurate. I mean, we do. You brought up the meat raffle.
Meat raffles.
We go to just look at Wisconsin Dells. If that's not user generated fun, right. Dude, hey, what if we built a big White House here, but just flipped it on its ass end?
How many other bars in this country, when you've been on the road just like me, do you walk into the bathroom and there's 9 different signs for 14 different scrambles happening over the next 2 months?
Oh yeah, the urinal advertisement.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I go into we go all over the country. I don't see stuff like this. We're getting together to do this. We're getting together. Like right now, all through Wisconsin, it's the fisheries, right?
Yeah.
And then in the summer, you obviously have every town has their 4th of July parade is on June 6th, and their 4th of July parade is on July 8th.
Brat Fest.
Yes.
It's cheese days.
Yeah.
Brat days.
I talk about this in my special, and I'm sure you know it, and so does your audience. But first of all, there's no drinking age in Wisconsin. You know this.
Well, yeah, there's technically
zero.
none.
Right.
If you're with your folks.
Right. Well, legal guardian.
Legal guardian.
So you could be with your friends' folks,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to decide for that week that you're at the cabin that they rented down and you're at the resort bar. They can decide if you drink all week. It's up to the discretion of the bartender.
Yeah.
And everybody agrees on 14 because you only have to be 14 to be work in any bar or restaurant. But of the 50 drunkest counties in the United States of America, Wisconsin, 39.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if that's something that we need to be super proud of.
I don't mean it to excess, but I mean this is people getting together trying to have a good time, and then they create reasons to do that.
Yeah.
Do you see shake of the day in any other states? I don't.
I think it's illegal in some states, which is crazy. It's actually technically illegal in Wisconsin.
Really?
You can't. I think so. I think you can't advertise it. I only think that because one time I was doing this shake of the day after this racetrack I was doing.
Yeah.
And they says, yeah, you can't put it on a video because it's technically illegal. And I said, well, who's going to come stop you? You know?
Right.
I mean, the police officer you probably put in for the shake of the day before he shut it down.
I agree.
You know?
There used to be a thing in Princeton, Wisconsin called the chicken fling. And they would do that every year.
Oh, I've heard about that.
The rubber chicken fling. There was a big scandal. This guy was putting ball bearings in his chicken, and he won like 4 years in a row. He would wear a full tuxedo and a top hat before they caught him.
What is it with people putting ball bearings in animals? Like the walleye?
That was a
ice
huge
fishing.
deal.
He put weights in fish.
Yeah.
You see that video?
Yes.
This guy put weights in fish. It looks like
That was a scandal.
Oh my gosh! You should have everybody around him. I didn't know how those guys got out of there alive
I thought about that too.
because they won like six figures.
Yes.
Several, and then you hear the grumbling around. You know they've won tournaments the past few years.
And
You
then-
know they've been doing this.
Then you got to sue him.
Yeah. Oh, I think jail time they had. They got grand theft.
Wow.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But yeah, I really think that, and I say this as with literally just a ton of love. I think Wisconsin creates more opportunities for like friendship, whatever you want to call it, fellowship, revelry of people like getting together. What if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do that? More than like any other state I've visited.
Yeah. No, I'm going to take that. And consequently, I'm going to say something nice about Illinois. Six Flags is a pretty cool place.
Oh man.
Six Flags is like
Raging Bull, one of my favorite roller coasters
Raging
ever.
Bull. Oh my God. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
American Eagle, the wooden roller coaster.
Scares me every time.
Oh, the Viper, also a wooden roller coaster.
Yeah.
Is that
Do you
one
remember
still
the Iron
around?
Wolf, the one where you stood
Yeah.
up and your head,
I remember the Iron
hit,
Wolf.
Your head just hit the handles the whole
Yeah,
time.
that's how I got my first 5 concussions. Right on the Iron Wolf, baby.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the bungee thing where they pull you way up
No.
and then they drop you and you swing down?
That
and back?
was
I
an
did it
extra
once.
charge.
Yeah, it was an extra charge.
Yeah. And I
You could do it with 2 other friends. They did 3 at a time.
yeah, that was, I think, $45 from what I remember.
That sounds right.
That was a bridge too far for my Uncle Dennis.
Did you ever get into the games? I never care about the games.
No, again, those are
At
a
a-
lot of they're a lot of
It's
money.
extra.
And the prizes it's difficult.
Right.
You got to know what you're doing, and you need more than 3 reps to even get in. That's how they get you.
Right. And
You
do you
know.
really want to like drag that huge teddy bear around all day?
No, and then you got to buy a $25 locker.
Yes.
You know, it's a whole racket. Anyway, I started by complimenting Six Flags, and now I'm
Go for it.
clearly into smack talk.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna leave it there.
Okay.
And we gotta go to our show.
Oh, sorry.
So before I go, we have this question we ask everyone: what makes you say cripes?
When it's summertime and you go out to your car the next day when you're at the cabin
Mhm.
and you realize you didn't roll the windows up and now your car is just full of mosquitoes.
Oh yeah,
And you're doing that drive where you're constantly trying to hit
yes.
your own windshield and it's never a good angle. And you're doing
No.
this at the bottom and they keep going down into the vent and missing them.
and then
And it's
there's-
just cripes, like constant.
yes,
Oh,
it can be dangerous. That
because a
can
lot of people are like, oh, roll the windows up in case it rains. Yes, that's always the worst. But when your car gets full of bugs, because you park by the cabin, which is by the porch light, which is full of every bug in the world,
yeah,
and you just get mosquitoes all over the inside
then-
of your car. Oh my gosh.
and then you just smack yourself.
yes.
yeah,
That's how I got my
dangerous,
first
'cause-
concussion.
Yeah, right. You can smack yourself half
Oh,
unconscious
give
when
it a
you're
little ear
driving down
pop.
the road.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine had a spider come into his car, and he was hungover, and I was driving, And he was upset about a whole host of things from the night before. You know how you get your anxiety going. And he was like, this spider, he was pissed. He put a piece of paper over the spider so it would, he was about to kill it.
Yeah.
And he punched the spider and he broke his windshield.
Shut up.
Yeah. Mike Feldman. Shout out to Mike Feldman. Yeah. And then he blamed it on me.
What?
Yeah, he blamed it on me. His mom still thinks I did it to this day.
Oh,
so I'm setting the record straight right now. Sorry, Mike.
Big Cripes moment for me. I hate mosquitoes in the car.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Skeeters will get you. But at the end of the day, skeeters feed the bats. So
that's true. That might be the only purpose they serve. Bat in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Dude, are you serious? That's how we're gonna come back. After the robots take us over,
we're gonna be found in
robot's gonna find. Yeah. There's gonna be a robot with a cane.
They harvest us.
Yeah. And then they go back to our thing, and they're gonna recreate us, and they're gonna be like, "Look at them. We just built these bars for them, and they just watch the Packers all day."
They call it a shake of the day. They love it.
Oh man. Well, this is fun, dude.
Dude, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for sitting by fireside with me.
It's great.
Next time we'll do this at a Sybaris.
I hope.
Yeah. Well, folks, that is all the time we have for now. But if you want to follow Daniel, check him out at Daniel Van Kirk on all the socials. You can follow him there. And if you follow him, tell him I says hi. All right. So thank you all. And by the way, you can follow Cripescast at Cripescast anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can also tell your folks I say hi. All right. Thanks to Colleen Maraca and Hannah Milos for editing and producing this podcast. Thanks to all of you for listening, and watch for deer.
So roll out the barrel and get the band brewing. Life's got you down, just keep her moving. It's on Wisconsin, the Badgers say it's the old Wisconsin Jubilee.
Sometimes when you're ice fishing, you put your foot in the walleye hole and go ass over tea kettle and you think you're done. No, you gotta keep her moving.